YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in Total War Attila, and I wanted to have some fun tonight. So I pulled out the Sassanids, and I thought it was funny, because not too long ago I was using the name Pig Chewy, and then I ran into this guy, Hog Wallop. It's too bad that I wasn't still using the name Pig Chewy. I was actually representing Okie Noodlin tonight, and if you all don't know what Okie Noodlin is, that is the practice of a hillbilly, which, I say that, my brother has done it. We're certainly not hillbillies. So, noodling is a fishing that is allowed in Oklahoma and I think 2 other states where you can literally get in the water, find a catfish hole, stick your hand in it, and drag the catfish out. So, hand fishing would be another name for it. Yes, very much interesting. So, Okie Noodlin. They even have a tournament for it. Long story short, don't know even where we got into that. I like playing as Sassanids. I jump into a quick battle. I ran into this guy and he recognized me as well, so he must have watched the videos recently when I was using this name. So I appreciate you watching the videos. I hope you enjoy them, and I hope you had a fun battle here. I did. It's a pleasure to get to play against you. So let's check out the battle. Let's get cinematic. Oh yeah. So I got 6 Grivpen Var Cataphracts. It's pretty standard practice for a Sassanid army these days. The Sassanids are quite a bit better in this patch, although I wouldn't say they're great. And then I've got these very cool looking Camel Clibinari. These guys are a very risky unit, but I don't even know that I'd say they're good in any situation. I just brought them because. And then I brought more infantry than I typically would with the Sassanid army. I've got 4 Dalemite warriors, and I think I have 5 Sogdian warriors. Sogdians are considerably better in this patch as well, but still not great. And then I've got a Spabed general. So Spabed has like 8 or 9 arrows with a bow, and they can be pretty handy general. They have a great attack versus infantry. With brace, they can do okay-ish versus cavalry because they're so tanky. Just be careful not to get them into like Noble Alani horsemen or something like that. So my opponent's got like 5 Foederati spears, or whatever these guys are. I'm probably gonna mispronounce it. 2 crossbows, ballistari, just the cheap ones, and then he's got I think 5 Elite Palatina, so very capable infantry. He's got 2 Fondatores on his flanks, supporting some Scoli and Equites Contari. What do we got here? Scoli Platini with some upgrades. Scoli and Contari. So he's hoping to slow down my shock cavalry with his Fondatores, which this is a good plan. You can use slingers. They have like a pretty big speed reduction, and it's a charge speed as well as speed reduction, so it would very much help the Roman cavalry to hit my cav, and it lasts for 30 seconds. So that's why you'll see a lot of people supporting cavalry with slingers nowadays. So what I did was just momentarily pull back my cavalry. I sent a unit of Sogdians on each flank to intercept his slingers, and now basically I'm going to try and turn the conundrum here on my opponent, and I apologize because I don't have the paint tools on. I'm going to send my Dalemites into combat against his Foederati spears. They won't do too well, especially if he reinforces with the Elite Palatina. But you can see here I'm accomplishing my goal with the Sogdian warriors, so I've got his slingers screwed up, and if he charges my Sogdian warriors, he's going to get hammered in return by Grivpen Var. And then over here now, my opponent is probably hoping that his slingers will blunt my charge, but actually I'm going to try and turn it around. I pull back at the last second and make him blunt his own charge with the Contari on his slingers. And so basically I'm just trying to turn the tables on him. My Spabed's going to split the gap, and then over here my Camel Clibinari are going to split the gap. Again, Sogdian's kind of slowing down the enemy troops here, and I'm just trying to kind of gain an advantage here. I smash into a Contari with a Grivpen Var quite successfully. I'm getting chased here by an Elite Palatina, so I'm going to just actually turn my Camel Clibinari and get into this fight. I'll do quite well on the charge here, and then I can reinforce with these Sogdian warriors. These Elite Palatina are going to get ripped up pretty hard by my Camel Clibinari. They actually excel versus infantry. My Spabed, I'm going to go straight for his Magister Militum, and I've used brace. My Spabed is triple gold, so quite strong here. He'll be better than the Magister Militum in combat. And I'm going to bring in some Sogdian warriors to help tank out the damage. You can see how quickly that Elite Palatina was mopped up by the Camel Clibinari. They're a very expensive unit, which is why I don't normally use them, but quite capable. And here you can see the Sogdians doing a nice job supporting my cav. Now these guys are nothing in supporting cavalry like the Dane axes and stuff like that, so don't be confused. This is only working out okay-ish for me because I'm playing against West Rome, and West Rome doesn't have a great answer. Down the center you got Elite Palatina that are actually just basically handing my infantry their butts on a platter. But yeah, some of my infantry still hold out. I've got some Dalamite warriors and Sogdians over here. I'm going to run a Griff Panvar rear charge into these elite Palatina, and of course it would be absolutely devastating. On the flanks, I've wrapped up the cav fights and I'm just chasing off his slingers. His general is kind of engaged in mortal combat here. He finally does chase away my Camel Clibonari. They were getting his crossbows. So these guys have already racked up 142 kills, some of which on elite Palatina. So they did very well. My opponent is chasing me with the spearmen though, so I am going to turn around. At this point though, my camels are tired, so they're going to start losing their capabilities on the charge. And I didn't get the most brilliant charge here because half the unit was out of position. Still going to kill a lot of spearmen though, but I'll have to pull out of that eventually. I've got Griff Panvar over here now that can assist in this fight, and I've got Sogdians coming around the flank. Now, my opponent, where his infantry was able, is wrecking my Dalamites now. The Dalamites did okay versus the Foederati spears, but Foederati spears, or whatever they are. What is it? Foederati. Sorry. Yes. Foederati. Jeez, I'm putting an extra R in there. It's driving me crazy. It's probably driving you crazy. So yeah, I'm getting the Sogdians into the back of this. If y'all are playing your little take a sip drinking game when Air says something and you've picked the word Foederati, then you're in good shape. Or drunk, one of the two. Which, anyway, yeah, I thought it'd be fun to use some Sassanid infantry. They don't get used too often. They're not that great. Against high armor targets, the Sogdians may be okay. Like a low attack, high armor target, because the Sogdians have good armor piercing values. They're going to be terrible versus high attack units like an elite Palatina. They have low armor, fairly low defense, and not very good health. So they can't take out a ton of damage. And see here where they got rear charged by a regrouped cav unit. They'll take some pretty serious losses. They do have Frenzy, though, which can increase their attack for a short amount of time. They get a lot of attack and a lot of armor-piercing damage, so they're not a good unit, but in very specific scenarios they can be useful. Against Rome, I felt like they could be potentially useful. They're going to be quite weak to skirmishers, really weak to skirmishers, actually. So that's something you have to be aware of. This was a rush army. If my opponent had brought a lot of skirmishers, which he did, had they been a bunch of archers, say like Germanic archers or something, my goal was to just pin everything down with the Griff Panvar on the flanks, and then get my Spabed and Camel Clibonari to put some pressure on his archers, while my infantry came in and engaged as well. Obviously, just getting opportunistic with the Camel Clibonari here turned out very good. The Spabed General is really quite nice, very expensive, but potentially tanky unit. Like I said, the Sassanids are no power faction, but I would certainly rate them above West Rome in my opinion right now. West Rome is pretty bad. Pretty bad indeed. But, you know, there's always a worst faction, it seems like, so it's no big deal. I like playing as West Rome. It's like a history thing. It's funny because before I was ever a big fan of Carthage, I actually really liked Roman history a lot. And then I learned about Hannibal, and of course I liked him a little better, but I still, you know, have that inkling inside me, like a lot of you, that you just don't like to see the Romans fall to the barbarian kingdoms. Now, not everybody feels that way. I'm just saying there's some of us out there that are that way, and I was definitely one of those folks. I think some of the biggest things that the West Romans have going for them is going to be like these Armigeri Defensores. Those guys are going to be nice, and then yeah, I think they're a great unit, actually, used in the right scenario. Elite Palatina gives you some attacking power, but they are pretty expensive. Very expensive, actually. Access to crossbows is nice. The elite ones really won't ever do you any good, which is unfortunate. Now, I'll tell you one thing that the West Romans do have. These Levies Amaturi are very cheap, and used properly can actually be quite effective. Contari are also very cheap and potentially quite effective. But your melee cav is going to be a big challenge. And then the other challenge you're going to have to fight against is people supporting their cavalry with Dane axes, which of course you don't have to worry about from the Sassanids. But from the Sassanids, you do have to worry about a crap load of extremely good shot cavalry. The slinger thing that my opponent was doing there is a very real possibility, and again, it was definitely a good idea on his part. I was just able to foil it. I have seen it work properly, though, in some battles. So, good game to my opponent. I hope you all enjoyed this bit of Attila footage. I know that the multiplayer still needs a lot of tweaks here, and it's definitely boring if people are playing on a meta, in my opinion, but there are some crazy builds in Attila that are pretty fun. And although I do think melee cav is overpowered, especially heavy melee cav, I should say, I do like the epic cavalry charges in the game, so that's something I'll say that is a redeeming quality for it. I really just want them to get with the Steam Workshop out. So CA, if you're listening, give us some Steam Workshop here on this game. That'd be great. Ready for the Steam Workshop, totally. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing off for now.